My video from March the 2nd, 2019 is video number 3012, and the title is The Challenge of Lacking Patience. They say patience is a virtue. Well, if that's the case, I guess I'm not very virtuous. That fact is most obvious to me when I'm in my car, stopped at a red light that changes to green, and the person in front of me is looking down, most likely at their cell phone, and fails to notice until I beep my horn. That was not going to be the subject of my video for March 2nd, but I've changed my mind. Waiting an extra day to get the repairs on my car done was very trying for me. While I appreciate the fact that they wanted to have the job done right, it was a huge challenge for me. Yes, they had provided me with a loaner car. However, I only drove it home and then back to the shop when they called to inform me that the job was completed. So what can I take away from this? I've been impatient all my life, which is even more so as I get older and do not see the changes I have worked toward throughout my life. People admonish me all the time, telling me that the changes are up to us, not God. Sorry, but I don't believe most of us created the mess in which we find ourselves. Will we be transformed and empowered? I certainly hope so. I guess I just need more patience. I chuckle, but it's not funny for me when I'm impatient. I mean, there's all sorts of anxiety that rises up, and it's very tiring, quite honestly. And I actually took a couple of naps today. Well, that's not really that unusual. But I probably stayed laying down longer than I usually do on each of the naps because I felt like I had my self handicapped by not having my own car to do the things that I normally do. Now, I didn't even go to the park and walk this morning as I usually do, but I did when I got my car back. It was still enough. It closes at dusk, or when it gets dark out, it closes. But I made it, and I made my 2 miles of walking and cleaned the boardwalk and met some people that I had never seen before because I don't usually go at that time of day. And I hugged my trees and did the things that I normally do. And one of the virtues that I do have is that I really want to forgive everybody that's wronged humanity. And we have been wronged. We have had our codons turned off. This is my belief now, okay? It's what I believe is true. We've had our codons turned off. We were not created with such limited capacities. That was a manipulation of some other entity other than God that dumbed us down. That's what I believe is the reality. And I've read things like the Anastasia books that inspire me by helping me to realize that we were not created with the limitations in which we find ourselves. Anastasia demonstrated that to me, which is why those books were so inspiring to me. Nevertheless, I have asked and asked and asked to be empowered, to be enriched, and to have the codons turned back on so that I would have the talents, gifts, and abilities that I honestly believe were taken away from me at some point in my past history. Not as Ron Van Dyke, but with other names in other places, perhaps sometimes as a man, sometimes as a woman. I don't believe I was ever an animal, although I do believe some animals seem to be more aware, spiritually aware than many humans are at this point in time. And I long for the changes of the kingdom of heaven on earth that I've believed were going to happen at some point in my life. So the fact that these things have not happened is part of my even becoming more lacking in patience than I was earlier in my life, when I felt that, well, it's just not time yet. It hasn't happened. But since 2012 came and went, I have felt that we're all living on borrowed time. And we don't have a lot of time left. And the heat has been turned up on us by the establishment, if you will. And I see what to me seem like indications that they could be winning. And I've seen things that say they're not winning, and be patient. That's the theme, right? Be patient. But I want it to happen. I want so much for the truth to come out and for humanity to be liberated from the bondage of lies and from the deception of the monetary system that is run by those who, and that was what my video was going to be about. So I don't want to get into it a whole lot right now, but we've been very, very controlled. And when people say it's up to us, it's up to us, I get really frustrated, because if I could do anything that I could do to bring positive change for humanity, I would do it. That's why I keep making my videos. And even when I wanted to take a break at 3,000 videos, I just, what am I supposed to do? This is what I've been doing. This has been my mission. And I continue the best that I can. And if I lack patience, it's because I want so much to do it before I die. And I'm in reasonably good health. I met a lady when I was going for my walk in the latter part of the afternoon, at the end of the day. And she was telling me her story. I never had seen her before, may not ever see her again. But she's struggling, trying to stop smoking. She's 60 years old, and she's been smoking all of her life. When I told her I was 72, she says, "Oh my goodness, you don't look it." Well, I've never been a smoker, and I do believe smoking ages you. That may or may not be true, but it's something that I think is a contributing factor to the aging process. If you're continually ingesting stuff that's not good for you and taking it into your system, that's not a good thing. And that's why I've changed so many things in my diet, and why I've stopped drinking almost anything except alkalinized water. That's reverse osmosis quality. I've done things to bring positive change and to live as healthy as I possibly can. But I really do need patience, that I'm going to be able to live long enough to see and participate in some of the things that I've hoped for my whole life. I want that with all my heart. So I thank those of you that keep admonishing me to be patient. I still don't see that it's just up to us. I still think that God has to play a role in that by empowering us at the very least. And by empowering, I mean to turn the codons back on that have been turned off, so that we can have the gifts, talents, and abilities that Anastasia demonstrated in those amazing books of the Ringing Cedars of Russia series. Thank you, folks, for listening, and namaste.